packed house.
Thanks for your rant, Kenny.
That's good stuff right there. That's good
stuff. West LA Premier Playoff Special. Woo! All right, guys, we're back. We're excited. It's playoff time again in West LA, and it's season 9 now. Oh my God, they're flying by. We're excited. We got a huge panel here today. We're going to try to keep things as short as we can, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and a lot of, obviously, of our players are here to discuss these games with us. So let's throw it around the horn really quick and kind of introduce everybody. And let's start with your league rep, Zak Salehipour. What's up, Zak?
Hey, guys. Glad to be on. Thank you for having me, Nate. Everyone else, hello.
Glad you could make it. Also, from Black Lightning, we have Zak Anastasi. What's up, Zak? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nate. Always an honor to be here.
Glad to have you. Of course, the old vet from Hugs and Kisses, Kenny Thor. How's it going, Kenny?
Good to see you guys.
Looking nice and sharp there in your high def. I like it.
Thank you.
We also, of course, have Dianne T. Dianne, how are you?
Good. It's 5 hours till my birthday, and I'm happy to be here.
Where's the wine? Come on, it's time to start selling. There we go. All right. All is right in the world. And, of course, Brandie Tucker from the defending champions, back-to-back champs. Make them pay. What's up, Brandie?
Hello.
All right, guys, so let's get right into it. Zak had released our playoff brackets, so you all know kind of where things stand. Kind of what we want to do today is just kind of break down our games individually, talk about our teams, and let's kick things right off with Brandie's Make 'em Pay, the #1 seed. So a quick breakdown of Make 'em Pay this season. A little bit different than last, I believe. You guys didn't come in undefeated last season, did you, Brandie?
Oh, God, no. We were like the 7th seed or something?
Yeah, okay. So I corrected that. So this season, completely different. You guys are coming in as the #1 seed, 9-0 undefeated season. The most points scored by 428, second only to this 318. So you guys definitely dominate on the offensive side. Let's see, 73. What do we got here? Your big wins in Week 5. You beat Black Panthers 73-6. So that was a huge win for you. NWA in Week 1, you won 29-26, and then barely squeaked by Jonas in Week 7, 28-25. So a couple of tight wins. Other than that, you guys pretty much blew out the competition all season long. So take us through your season, Brandie. What's been different this year than previous seasons?
You know, I've said this before, that when we really had our come to Jesus moment, like near the end of last season, and we clicked right before playoffs, it's just kept rolling. And so I feel like things haven't changed in terms of since last season. They've just continued, and we've continued clicking, and we communicate much better now than we did last season, which again started right in playoffs, but we've just kept up that communication and not let it, there's no passive aggressive, there's no holding back, we're completely honest, and we just get shit done. So, and looking at, I actually did a little tally right before this, and looking at all the playoff teams' total defensive interceptions and then offensive interceptions, because, turnovers obviously are huge. We had 20 defensive interceptions, which I was kind of blown up, like I didn't realize, and only 3 offensive interceptions, which was very different from last season.
I only had 2 by Jake. So, Kenny, from a quarterback standpoint, how difficult is it to go through a season? 73%, 51 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. I mean, that's a hell of a season right there.
Yeah, and I know we've got some topics where we're going to cover, valuable players, I'll say. It's extremely difficult. What Jake did this season is pretty amazing. His touchdowns, his percentages, his completion percentage, and his lack of interceptions. Make 'em pay has been perfect this season. I mean, that's really the only way I can say it. I mean, obviously they don't have a loss. Every single time I watched them play, they looked utterly dominant. It was, even, I know they had a couple close games, but even in those games, and I watched one of them, I personally didn't have a doubt. I'm like, Macomb Pay just seems like they're this perfect team that can't screw up. And
Kenny's at every sideline. Don't think I don't notice that.
yeah, I'm trying to learn. I'm like, what the hell do I have to do to compete with these people?
Learn.
Yeah. So, honestly, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but I'll just say it now. Jake's my MVP. Like, male, female, whoever, doesn't matter. Like, he has had an outstanding season. Everybody wants to play for the guy. He's a great quarterback.
You would make a pretty female MVP.
Yeah, he would.
And Brandie, from a standpoint of your receivers, so Kevin Massey, 38 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Mike Ivory's 24 receptions, 8 touchdowns. Jaleesa, 23 receptions, 11 touchdowns. And then Adams down here with 15 receptions and 2 touchdowns. And you know how good of a player Adam is. Did he not play a lot of the games this season, or was he just not?
We have a lot of guys, and Adam doesn't play a lot of offense because everybody's trying to get their their playing time. And when you've got your big man Kevin. Obviously, you feed him the ball, but then we had the addition of Jay Austin, who, for 3 games because he was a sub, so those stats where he was racking up a grip of catches, like those aren't even in there. So it's just because Adam is playing more defense, really. But also Kevin is an amazing player.
Yeah,
I will add that I think that's really the beauty of the Macomb Pay team and why it's clicking right now is everyone kind of realizes what their role is, and like you said, Adam's an incredible receiver, 99 hands, but he plays mostly off defense. You got Sam, who's also a great offensive player who almost exclusively plays defense. And Brandie, who I think one season you led recess rejects and receptions, and you've kind of taken more of a defensive role.
Yeah.
Well, Zak, throwing things over to you. How do you beat these guys? I mean, all these numbers were thrown out there. What's the game plan?
Me or other Zak?
You, Zak.
Me, Zak. Okay. I don't know. I mean, it's just I said it before in a previous thing. You just can't really make mistakes. And one thing Macomb Pay has really done well this season is they've upped their defense. In past seasons, if you look back, they've let up 300-plus points like season after season, even though they put up the most offense. But in this season, they've really cranked it up. As Brandie said, they have a lot of turnovers, which is leading to a lot more points on the board. And I think you just have to play mistake-free football if you're going to beat this team, because they're going to score if they're on offense. Like, you just have to know they're going to put up at least 30, maybe 35, 40 points. You just have to match them and just try not to make mistakes on offense as you go. I mean, you can pray that Jake makes mistakes, but this season he's proved that that's not something he's going to do. So he's got to. I think Jake's got to get sick for some team to have a chance.
There's still time.
Have you checked in with him, Brandie? Is he okay?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. He just texted me. I don't know if you can see this. 10 minutes ago, said, "Are you doing a playoff video?" And I said, "Literally in 10 minutes." I don't know if you can read that. So he seems to be fine.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know. Well, Anastasi, we'll get to you in a second here, but I want to talk about the team that you guys will be going up against, Brandie, the 8th seed in B2. So these guys were out, and then they were back in as we were kind of going through the playoff tiebreakers. They only lost 4 games this season, but they lost those 4 in a row in the middle, and then they won their final 4 games. So it kind of seems like they righted the ship a little bit over the final stretch of the season, but they lost in week 2 to Super Best Friends, 44-36. They lost in week 3 to Lone Stars, 26-20. In week 4 to Black Lightning, 30-26, and then in week 5 to NWA, 33-32.
Yeah.
So all of their losses were pretty tight losses.
Within one score.
Yep, exactly. And Brandon Jin, their quarterback, 62%, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and it looks like he spreads the ball around a lot. So we got 5 receivers of 13 or more receptions. Liz Casale, 7 touchdowns. Alex Garcia, 3 touchdowns. Clay Brinkman, 5 touchdowns. Kelby Jones, 5 touchdowns. Brian Sanders, 2 touchdowns. So he does a good job in that extent. Brandie, why don't we start with you? What's going to be your game plan coming up against these guys in the first round?
Honestly, we just it's such a I hate being in this position on the top and coming in as the one to be with all the expectations. Like, I absolutely hate it, but we just have to continue doing what we're doing. Look at it as another game where, like, we have to go out there and fight. It can't let it be a trap game because, you know, sure, they might be the 8th seed, but you know what else? They if you look at all of the playoff teams behind us with only throwing 3 offensive total interceptions, they're right behind us with 6.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, they only have 7 defensive interceptions, so they haven't, you know, picked off as much, but they haven't turned over more than besides New Brunswick, who's tied with them. Every other team has turned the ball over more than they have.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, like you said, and the fact that they were only a 1-point loss to NWA is another indicator. So we absolutely cannot overlook them just because they're an 8th seed. Like I said, last season we were the 7th seed. So it's same business as usual.
All right, well, Zach, Anastasi, so week 4, hopefully you were there that game. You guys beat them 30-26. I mean, kind of what's your take on this team, or from what you can remember from that game?
Well, obviously they go as Brandon goes running the ball. The one thing that I think will hurt them against Macon Pay is that Macon Pay has 2 guys in Clark and Lawrence at D-line that can both stay with him laterally and down the field. So they're gonna try and take him away running the ball. I think he's definitely more of a dink and dunk quarterback, so I don't think he'll be really challenging Kevin or Sam at the safety spots. Obviously, Liz and Kelby are top 2 girls, but Macon Pay will match them right with Jaleesa and Vanessa, so they don't have that advantage that they would against some other teams. So it's really going to come down to, is he going to be able to get away from Lawrence or Clark on the rush, and he doesn't really have the arm to really be throwing it 40 yards down the field, so he's definitely going to have to dink and dunk and run his way in a low-scoring game, but against Macon Pay, there is no low-scoring games. So I think they will have a pretty uphill battle to go against Macon Pay.
Yeah, and Liz and Kelby both led their team in touchdowns, so you know, definitely taking advantage of the girl power on that team. Dianne, what's your take on these guys?
What I've noticed about them is they are almost always kind of rolling right at the minimum. You know, 3 girls, 4 or 5 guys. And I think, you know, kind of converse to Macon Pay, there is, you know, kind of an advantage in that it's, you know, when you're in there pretty much the entire time, it's easy to get warm and easy to get into a rhythm. I think that's going to be, you know, one thing they have going for them is that, you know, when you're in there and you're just going the whole time, you know, you are primed to make big plays.
Definitely. All right. So, I mean, they're obviously, you know, I'm sure they're ecstatic to be in the playoffs. I'm sure they weren't too happy to see that make them pay in their first round. But yeah, like you guys have said, you know, it's anyone's ball game, and if they can kind of keep up the pace with make them pay, it's going to be a high-scoring affair. You know, they have a shot in this. Kenny, did you get a chance to see these guys play at all this season?
Yeah, I watched them several times. Actually, I thought Zach Anastasi's analysis was spot on. I mean, they've got a lot of good players. You know, Kelby and Liz are at the top. You know, Brandon's legs, but you know, I think with Clark and Lawrence, you know, probably, and well, they have the talent to contain them. So I mean, as much as I like the B2s and I'm happy they made the playoffs, I think they've got a big uphill battle, as anyone would against Macon Pay. But I think it's Macon Pay is probably going to put up a pretty good defeat here.
All right. Well, let's roll into our next matchup, and let's jump down to the bottom of the bracket. Kenny, your Hugs and Kisses team coming in with the 2 seed this season. You guys went 7-2. Your only losses in week 3 to Macon Pay, 54-34 loss there, and in week 5 to Shenanigans, 34-28. So, Kenny, your numbers on the season: 59%, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4 rushing touchdowns. Arlen, as usual, your number 1 receiver, 30 receptions, 8 touchdowns. Arlen also dominated the defensive side with 6 defensive interceptions. Hugh with 15 receptions, 4 touchdowns, 4 sacks. Kate Lilly, 15 receptions, 6 touchdowns, and Amart on the defensive side with 4 defensive interceptions. So you guys coming in the number 1 defense this season, Kenny, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
211 points again. So at 7-2, so a pretty good season. You had those couple of rough losses, but I mean, what was your strength this season? Were you guys, your defense keep you in a lot of these games, or I mean, your numbers, you know, were probably lower than you would probably have wanted, but I think from a standpoint of overall team, spreading the ball around, you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the defense is our biggest asset. It's always easy to give credit to quarterbacks in any team, but the truth is our defense helps us win games. As far as offensively, I think it's probably my worst season out of all of them. I don't know that for certain, but I'd guess it would be. I don't know if it's Father Time catching up with me or what, but but yeah, I mean, it was still a successful season in our eyes. I felt like it was a good one. We had our ups and we had definitely a couple downs where we try to recover from those and get better as best we can. We talk about it, the team and what we can do after every loss or every game, really just improve, and especially after losses, but not trying to recreate things too much. We have a pretty successful formula and we try to stick with that as best we can. So.
Zak Salehipour, so you've obviously seen the Hugs and Kisses teams over the years, over the seasons. Anything different you've seen from these guys this season than in past, or is it business as usual?
Mainly business as usual. Although maybe just like intangibly, they just seem to have a different sort of energy on the field. It doesn't seem to be as, I guess, lively, or just the way they carry themselves on the field just seems to be a bit different. Almost as if they feel defeated, even though they're one of the better teams in the league. It's kind of strange to say. Maybe that related to the shenanigans loss. I don't know, but just that's the feeling I get. But in terms of like the raw talent they have on the field, that's all the same. Kate Lilly is still crushing it. She hurt us in our game. Arlen is having another great year. All the talent is still there. I think it's maybe just getting players to show up might be an issue. I know one week Kenny was struggling to get any girls out. I think it just might be a participation thing this season. But if they all show up to playoffs, I expect them to be the same team we've already seen.
Yeah, I mean, being the veteran team you guys are, you definitely don't want to see Hugs in that first matchup in playoffs. And the team that you guys are going to be going up against is the 7th seed in Super Best Friends, which, I mean, they were kind of up towards the top of that the standings most of the season. So let's kind of take a look at these guys. Ended the season 5-4. Their losses came in week 5 to play 60, 39-33. Week 6 to let's try one more time, 19-18, a 1-point loss there.
Both are non-playoff teams, by the way.
They are not, no. And also in week 8, they lost to Black Lightning, 42-18. So pretty rough loss there. And then last week to Lone Stars, 36-20. So kind of backing up into the playoffs here. Mark Lonoff ended the season 71%, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Their receivers, Cooper Hopkins, 33 receptions, 6 touchdowns. Daniel Kim, 27 receptions, 6 touchdowns. Bridget Young, 25 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Smith King, 22 receptions, 3 touchdowns. And Brianna Woods with 20 receptions and 6 touchdowns. So we got, five receivers there of 20 receptions or more. As you guys know, Mark likes to kind of dump the ball off, so it's pretty much business as usual there. But, like I said, they're back heavily into the playoffs. So, Brandie, why don't you start off? These guys have a chance against Hugs and Kisses, and what do they need to do to beat them in the first round?
To answer your first question, no.
Okay.
To answer your second question, I mean, well, it's too late for subs, so.
Wow. Okay. Dianne, I mean, you've seen Mark and all these guys, Daniel Kim. You played in other leagues with them. I mean, it's kind of the same question to you. Do you agree with Brandie that they have no chance of beating a Hugs and Kisses team coming in with that 7-2 record?
They haven't really been showing us much. Whatever the opposite of momentum is, that's what they have. They've really been struggling to get people there. They've been using 3 to 4 subs every game, the second half of the season. So I don't, it's hard to say. Like, you don't want to write a team off, but, they do have players that are really talented. Daniel Kim, great hands, great route running, super fast. Smith, is a defensive monster. He's racked up the interceptions this season. Bridget has really, kind of come alive this season as well. But as a team, they don't really seem to be clicking.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, these guys are all. I mean, Cooper's damn good. Daniel Kim, Smith, obviously, and then the girls. So it's funny to hear you guys say that, but Hugs is Hugs, and you're going to have to bring your A game. So, Kenny, I mean, looking at these guys and what they've done, I mean, is there anything that scares you, I guess, coming into this game?
Yeah, I mean, the first two things I think of are Daniel Kim's speed and Cooper's speed and height, and both their reception abilities. They're both, I'll call high-end receivers. Now, I haven't watched Mark enough to know his ability to throw the ball around the field or not. I know him, and I've seen him throw a little bit, but not a lot. Last week they had a sub quarterback. I'm not sure who it was, honestly, but he looked like a decent quarterback. That's the first thing that jumps out at me is those two guys, and needing to contain them, and they're barking. And then I guess it looks like it was. I don't know if it was Smith who was their other quarterback or not, but
it was Smith, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so their girls are solid. I'm a ride or die Hugs all day long, especially our female players. So, I'll take our females up against anybody there. But as far as those two guys are probably the first thing, it's like, okay, don't underestimate those guys could hurt you. So.
Anastasi, you want to add anything to this matchup?
I mean, never can you say there's no chance, but I think that they have a really good shot at winning. I think the only weapon that they have is Daniel Kenny, but again, Hugs can put Arlen or Ormsby man on him, and they'll take him out of the game, and then Mark will have no one else to go to.
I'll make that mental note. I might make it.
Everyone's kind of on the same page.
I didn't mean to be quite so bitchy, by the way, in my response. I was reading a text, just so we're aware, but anyway. That's neither here nor there.
It's all good, Brandie. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into our 6-3 matchup. This one's going to be a good one. Our number 3 seed coming in is Lone Stars. So Zak's team coming in at 7-2. Your only losses in week 4 to Make 'em Pay 50-20. And in this past week, to Hugs and Kisses, 32-18. So both pretty bad losses. We'll talk about that, Zak. Your QB, Zach Parker, 56%, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Leading receivers, Ron Dean, 37 receptions, 8 touchdowns. No surprise there. C.J. Franklin, 19 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Ashley Hanley, 18 receptions, 5 touchdowns. And Christian Perrin with 15 receptions and 5 touchdowns. So touchdown-wise, definitely spread the ball around a lot. Zak, give us a little bit, Salehipour, into your season this season, and I mean, this is your first time, I guess, with this group. Some of you guys kind of came over from last season, but what's the big strength of your team this season?
Yeah, we are a new team, so there was some clicking that sort of had to get done at the beginning. I think part of our strengths there's that we just have so much raw talent from player to player, which has really helped us out throughout the way. Ron Dean he's going to be a monster no matter who's throwing him the ball, and he proved that this season as well. Christian is also super tall, has great hands, and then Ashley has always been reliable. So I just think our talent alone, helps us out even though we're a new team trying to connect on another level. I guess going to this game, we played Ubrecha like a couple weeks ago when I was quarterbacking, so it's going to be a different monster this time. We'll have our regular quarterback back, and even though we won, I'm hoping it'll be more in hand than it was last time. So
yeah. So as to that, what's that?
Echo.
All right, you guys hear me? Going up against Ubrecha, the 6th seed. So Kaker's team dropping down to 5-4. And Dianne, we were talking about super best friends backpedaling into the playoffs. Well, Ubrecha actually backpedaled even more, losing their last 3 games of the season. They started off losing to Hugs and Kisses in week 1 and then lost in week 7 to Lone Stars, 26-21. Macomb Pay in Week 8, 54-27. And then NWA this past week, 32-26. So Caker ended the season 61%, 40 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 4 rushing touchdowns. So a good season by Cake. His leading receiver, Matt Mello, 36 receptions, 8 touchdowns. Perrin Rodabog, 23 receptions, 12 touchdowns. Mute, 21 receptions, 3 touchdowns. And then looks like Andre Stevens Jr. with 14 receptions, 4 touchdowns. Alyssa Perella, 12 receptions, 3 touchdowns. And then Rico Martinez, 15-2. So Caker definitely spreading the ball around. These guys can be tough. You never know who's going to show up. And, yeah, they've been backpedaling. But did we lose Anastasi? Looks like it. Kenny, do you want to kind of talk about this Ubrecha team a little bit and in this matchup we're going to see against Lone Stars?
Yeah, Ubrecha, someone mentioned, teams with raw talent earlier before, and maybe it was Zach about his team, but Ubrecha has a lot of talent on their team, and even with Caker, his ability to throw the ball, his ability to run, is I'd say top notch. He's a young guy in good shape. If they can make good decisions on the field, they could definitely give Lone Stars a run for their money. Like Zach had mentioned, that the first time they played, it was Zach playing quarterback, not Zach Parker. So it's going to be a different game. And if I remember correctly, Ubrecha was up big that game, and Lone Stars came storming back, and then or maybe it was vice versa, but it was one team had a large so it was like the storm back, and then CJ ran a kickoff back, and that was basically the game. So I could see this game going either way, depending how Zach plays quarterback and how Caker plays quarterback. Honestly, I think that'll be the difference, and how the defenses react to those two guys, and because there's definitely playmakers on both sides. I know I'm just talking about, I'm supposed to talk about Ubrecha, but I think Lone Stars has a little bit more playmakers on their team than Ubrecha, but Ubrecha definitely has the guns to go at it at this one.
Quick insight into that little matchup. Ubrecha, out of all the playoff teams, has the worst point differential, my favorite phrase, the worst point differential of all of the playoff teams, only a 9-point differential, followed by Super Best Friends and Lone Stars. And I do think point differential matters.
Definitely. Interesting. All right. And Dianne, what's the one thing that you think is going to stand out at the end of this matchup, and who's going to take home the victory?
I think the surprising thing about Lone Stars is, they've really had a hard time with getting girls to show up. And, Ashley has been a pretty big constant for them, and luckily for them, she's a huge playmaker. But, I think they've really been struggling in that regard. Let's see.
Why don't girls like me, Zach? Because you take all their food, maybe?
I'm too sweaty.
Honestly, the interesting thing is, CJ hasn't been playing a lot of offense at all, and CJ is one of the top 3 guys in the league. But Lone Stars has a lot of great guys, a lot of under the radar guys. Zach, former MVP runner-up, Drew Rogers, Christian Parent, all of that stuff. I think that girl matchup is going to be crucial, though. Caker has said that he trusts his girls. Aaron and Carly, brand new to football. You wouldn't be able to tell by watching them play. I think that would be really where they could really stand a chance.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a good matchup for sure. Zach, you guys, if you get past Ubrecha, then you're staring at a hugs and kisses team in the semis. So you got
potentially. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Sorry. Potentially. Go along with you guys. All right, let's jump into that final. What's that? Sorry, Zach. Welcome back, brother.
I'm gonna try to get back in on my computer. I'm on my phone right now. I don't know what the hell happened.
Is this the real Zach Anastasi with the CH?
The real.
The one and only.
All right. So our final matchup is our 4-5 matchup, which is also going to be a good one. Zach's team, Black Lightning, as the number 5 seed coming in. It ended the season. Okay. We got
There's two.
multiple things happening here.
Yeah, I know. That's me. I'm getting out.
Control yourself, Zach.
Much.
2 Zachs. 3 Matt. How many Zachs do we have here?
All right, I'm good now. I'm back on.
Okay, so Black Lightning, the 5 seed, 5-4. Zach, you guys ended. Your loss in week 2 to Make 'em Pay, 50-44. In week 5 to Ubrecha, 30-21. In week 6 to Hugs and Kisses by a 1-point score, 27-26. And then in week 9 to Let's Try One More Time by 2 points, a 40-38 loss. Zach, you ended the season 68%, 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 7 rushing touchdowns. You also had 6 defensive sacks. Your leading receiver, Garrett Gronowski, 25 receptions, 13 touchdowns. It looks like he had all the touchdowns on your team because your next leading touchdown was receiver was Nicky Mendez with 2, Amber McKelvey with 2, and Jared Sklar with 2. So looks like Garrett was your go-to. Derek McCann, 4 defensive interceptions. So Zach, what's been your strength all season? Just going to Garrett every game, or what?
Well, Garrett, those numbers Garrett put up in only 5 games, so
Okay.
Missed a lot of games. A lot of my other touchdowns went to Garza. None of his stats were there for his first 3 or 4 games at least, so he has about 8 or 9 touchdowns. My brother subbed a couple games, so he's probably got about 4 or 5 in there.
All right, that makes sense.
So there's the majority of my other touchdowns that are missing. But obviously without Garrett, I think he's arguably the best receiver in the league. So without him there for a couple of games, I've had to use other guys. And this is actually only going to be the second game all year besides last week, which was supposed to be a tune-up game, but it didn't work out that way. That I'll have my top 3 receivers, Garrett, Garza, and my brother out there on offense. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is also, I think, my best collection of girls I've ever had on a team. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do in the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, I've been reviewing my NWA tape. I got my game plan ready to go. I got some strategy lined up, but it's going to be a tough task. It's hoping to get my first playoff victory since I played with Kira a couple years ago and we beat Backstreet back in the first round. So it's been a while since I've had a playoff victory. So
All right, well, let's talk about here.
Wait, with the echo. While you fix your echo, Nate, I just want to say that I have tagged this is the most exciting playoff matchup, and here's why. It is the ultimate matchup of which team is going to show up, and this applies to both opponents. Okay? With Black Lightning, you have, like, for instance, their close game against Make 'em Pay. I wasn't there for, but I hear it was very close. But on the other hand, you have them losing to Ubrecha and Let's Try One More Time, who is not in the playoffs. For NWA, you have to consider the game is at 10 a.m. And the day after Diane's birthday party was amazing planning on her part. So which teams are going to show up? I don't know. I'm very excited to find out, though.
I
brought that up.
I will say that we actually do have a contingency plan for the fact that we have a 10 o'clock game. We have been making plans for Kira and Wilkins to stay the night at somebody's house on a Friday just to make sure that they show up at 9 o'clock for warm-ups, but I think that's optimistic.
Because I get great night's sleep on those couches. You got some beach.
We want to play without Wilkins there anyway, so I hope Wilkins is there ready to go. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I don't think we have confirmation that they've ever been to a playoff game on time, so it's pretty much what they do. So looking at their season, Wilkins had a pretty damn good season, 38 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Eddie led their team with 43 receptions and 5 touchdowns, and then Sarley with 35 and 9, Amber White with 30 and 12, and Kira was their 4th leading receiver with 24 receptions and 9 touchdowmes. So,
well, because you took her to like Ireland and shit. Like you always had her out of town.
Her off the field. But I mean, the thing with you kind of notice is Eddie and Chris have kind of got that little, center flare pass going, and it sounds like they've kind of been doing that all season long. And once Eddie gets the ball short and takes off down the field, he's tough to stop. But Zach, I mean, what from a defensive standpoint, what are you going to do to slow these guys down?
Well, I can't give you all my secrets away, Nate, but
I'm not going to listen to this.
I have a game plan in mind, or a defensive scheme in place that A, we haven't used all year, and B, it can be a good or bad thing. So excited to see how that works.
Does it involve Alka-Seltzer tablets?
No, it involves playing some solid defense. So I think the key, without giving too much away, is that we got to try and force Wilkins to throw on the run, take away his deep ball, Sarley, and then other than that, I mean, Eddie is underneath guys, so that's something that we just got to watch. And then obviously, as every team will say, how bad are Kier and Amber going to hurt me? Can I limit their damage to just underneath? I mean, you can't let them get behind you. And then, honestly, it's just going to hopefully have as little gender plays as possible is kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't have two girls that can guard both of them, nor do I think any team have two girls that can guard the both of them.
The thing is that I don't think Wilkins and Amber have really even found their rhythm together, and she had 30 receptions this season.
I do wonder how Kiera feels about being the number 2 girl receiver on her own team with her boyfriend as the quarterback, so maybe I'll have to throw some punches.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to this one. Zach, why are you a turtle?
I don't know. I have no idea why. I just was like Googling images one day, and I came up, and I was like, "Oh, that looks cool."
I wasn't sure if there's like a turtle.
Actually, when I came back from a Mexico vacation one year, we had just like snorkeled with turtles, and I was like, "Oh, like turtles are cool." And then that was like right when I was making the team, and I was like, "Oh, there you go."
All right. On that note, that is all of our playoff matchups. So let's go around the horn really quick. I want you guys to give your dark horse, who you think is going to make noise that in this tournament that probably isn't expected, I guess, and who your MVP is, either a female or a male. Brandie, on the spot. What do you?
Oh my God! What? All right. So it's hard for me to say dark horse because the people I would call dark horses are all in our bracket. So I don't think it's the year of the dark horse. I think it's the year of the chicken. I don't know. The year of the monkey, whatever the fuck. Anyway, but MVP I think is going to be either Jake or Kevin Massey.
All right, keeping it in house. Dianne, what about you?
I mean, basically anybody but Make 'em Pay is going to be a dark horse.
That's a good point.
And obviously, like, you can't really expect any of us to pick, against our own teams. But I do think
I'm expecting
because Hugs and Kisses has lost against Make 'em Pay in the playoffs 2 seasons in a row. I still, I don't think anyone should sleep, on them in terms of that matchup if they end up seeing each other in the championship game. But I see Hugs and Kisses as a dark horse just because, I think that they've had a couple of down seasons, which for them is, undefeated seasons, down from undefeated seasons. In terms of MVP, for females, I think it's pretty clearly Taryn Curse from, Play 60. Led the league in receptions and touchdowns. Other people who are in there would be Perrin Rodabaugh from Ubrecha, Amber from our team. In terms of the males, Kenny said it, and I'll repeat it. It's Jake. A couple of other guys in there would be Caden Pfeiffer from the Replacements. He's insanely good. And then some other people would be Kevin, Arlen, Eddie from our team. So I think there's some clear front runners, but a lot of people had great seasons.
Yeah. Great. Kenny, what about you?
It's funny when Dianne said anybody but Make 'em Pay. I never thought about it that way, but she's right. I mean, it's kind of like, they really are this like juggernaut of a team this season, where it's just if anybody beats them, it's kind of like, holy crap, what just happened? Now, having said that, I don't think a 2 seed can be a dark horse. So I'm going to go, I typically like to say in the bottom half of a bracket. And if with 8 teams, I'd say 5 or higher. And with that, I'm going to say Black Lightning. I think that they've got talent on their team, like Zach said. It's his best set of girls. I think they're definitely capable. They were close to a lot of top teams. We barely beat them. They were right in it with Make 'em Pay. They have the potential to do that. So I'll go, my pick for, I guess, a traditional dark horse will be Black Lightning. As far as MVPs go, Jake. I mean, he's going to win it. I definitely think the next two up are Caden and Arlen, in my opinion, for stats. Obviously, I'm biased towards Arlen a little bit, but, given how many receptions he has on our team when it's normally pretty equal, that's pretty impressive, and he's been great defensively. Female-wise, again, Turin, I haven't seen Turin play, but I've heard really good things. She's got great stats. I think Amber would be second there, but it'd be hard to give it to anybody else. So that's kind of it's make 'em pay season. We should just give it to Jaleesa so they get the trifecta. But
no, we don't want all of the MVP trophies because typically MVP awards do not translate into championships. So we would rather actually forego all of those MVP numbers and just get the championship.
Only one trophy that matters, we always say.
Just so we're clear, I'm going to speak behalf on my team and say that you guys can have them and we will just take the trophy. Thank you very much.
All right, Anastasi, on to you, buddy. The Kenny's dark horse. What about you? I mean, anything that you see could come out of Saturday that could surprise us, and who your MVP would be?
Well, dark horse team, I would definitely say, obviously, I would say us probably as a 5, but at the same time, I think whoever wins our game with NWA, which is going to be a war, I think whoever plays Make 'Em Pay and wins that game, I think will win the whole thing. So I think out of those 3 teams, I think they'll meet hugs and kisses in the championship, and obviously that's going to be a tough game as well. But I think whoever comes out of our side of the bracket will be the one that wins the whole thing.
What about MVP?
Damn, just totally smash the other side.
Not at all. Not at all. I think MVP, obviously, guys, no question, should be Jake. That shouldn't even be up for discussion. Female MVP, if I had to give a top 3, 1 would probably be Taryn. She was shy. I'd never seen her play before, and then she had 3 touchdowns against us and was really good. Number 2 would be Perrin. That was only her first season playing in football ever. And she had some really solid numbers. Didn't even know what a double move was until a couple weeks ago, I heard. And she was really good. And number 3, I'd say would probably be Amber White. So those would be my top 3 girls. And, I think anything can happen Saturday. But I think 1 and 2 have easy winners. And I think every game after that is going to be really close and some really exciting football.
All right, Zach, take us home, buddy.
So we have to do what Kenny said. I think Black Lightning is the dark horse in this one. They, I've been saying it since the beginning. They hung in there with Make 'Em Pay. Their team looks really good. I think Zach has been playing better football than he has been since I've seen him play football. He just has so many weapons on his team. I think they can really compete. I think the 10 a.m. game is really favorable to his team, which helps. And if they do play Make 'Em Pay in the next round, I think they, out of all the teams, actually have the best chance of beating them. And that would be a really interesting matchup to see how everything shakes out. In terms of MVPs, I can't say anything because I'm the one who's deciding, so I will let you guys surmise. So
awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. Hopefully, we kept that fairly short. That is your
favorite, though? Favorite? Predicted champion?
Yeah.
No,
All
don't
right.
think it's really any point.
Really quick. Brandie, who's your champion? Go.
Make 'em pay.
Dianne.
I will say that I have been in the championship game every season for the past 3 years around this time, so I think this is going to be the year that NWA finally does it.
Woo! Everyone taking their home. Kenny.
As much as I'm a ride or die hugs player, I make 'em pay as a juggernaut. I don't see anybody beating them.
Zach. Anastasi.
I'm going to pretend that I'm not in it because I'm not going to pick myself, but I'm going to say whoever wins, if I wasn't in it, the NWA Make 'Em Pay.
All right. And Zach.
If not my team, then Make 'Em Pay. They've just been super solid this year. So.
Awesome. Okay, so that is your playoff special, Season 9. All the games begin this Saturday, 10 a.m. It's 2 weeks this season, so the following week we'll finish things off with our semis and our championship game. Join us afterwards at Brennan's. We'll be doing the award ceremony, handing out all of our league leaders, and our I guess we won't be having the championship celebration yet until the following week. But thanks again, you guys. You guys have been awesome. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see everybody out on Saturday. All right, thanks, guys.